Look at shares of Tesla right now. And when you look at the actual price of the stock, it is now $101 off its annual high of $389 at the moment.
He said they might go public, private.
Right, which is when Elon Musk, the always colorful and controversial CEO of Tesla, had said, I'm considering taking you go private, and I do have the funding secured, and that is not happening. All right, there are two major incidents on the street that are swirling around Tesla. First, a new report saying Tesla did not manage to meet its 6,000 a week model production target last month amid Elon Musk's going private controversy became one major speed bump for traders. And then Goldman Sachs fanning the flames today, a little bit of doubt here, reinstating Tesla with a sell rating, saying shares could lose as much as 30% of their value in the next 6 months due to increasing competition in the electric vehicle market. Charlie Gasparino has been all over Tesla's drama since Elon's infamous Twitter storm, and he is joining us now with what looks to be, guess, a glass half full or half empty scenario. Half empty is Goldman says it's a sell, but half full is that maybe it's cheap for somebody else to buy.
I will say this. What hurt a lot about Goldman was one of its advisors. So think about it. The advisor was out of coverage, suspended coverage. So did Morgan Stanley. We'll see what they bring back coverage at. But as minute they come back from coverage, into coverage, they basically say, hey, we're going to cut the stock price target down to about $200 a share. And we're going to say this is going to be a rocky 6 months for the company. You know, Liz, I'll tell you, listen, I take no joy out of attacking this company because I think Elon Musk wants to do the right thing, but I will tell you the numbers increasingly don't add up. I mean, production numbers, he's got a huge bill come due by the end of the year. If he doesn't, if the stock is below $360 a share, he has to pay $1 billion to convertible bondholders in cash. I don't think he has that on his balance sheet. We should point out that one of the things we were talking about when we were covering the bankers dealing with him and thinking about going public and how they were pitching it is that these same bankers were also talking about a recapitalization. They may have to find new sources of income. One area people think, one place to get it from would be if Apple bought them or Apple bought a piece of them. People spoke about that. I know you spoke to Warren Buffett about that.
I did, and in fact, that got massive pickup from the West Coast to the East Coast to internationally.
He said that
last Thursday, I was able to sit down one-on-one with Warren Buffett, who, of course, is a huge Apple shareholder. It's the largest position now in, of course, the Berkshire Hathaway portfolio of stocks. And let us listen in to what Warren Buffett told Fox Business on Thursday about an analyst's suggestion. Let's listen. Would you suggest that Apple get into, or would you support it if they bought Tesla?
Well, I would support what Tim Cook does, but I think it would be a very poor idea to get into the auto business. It's not an easy business.
He says 1 minute you're up, 1 minute you're down. This is sort of like the insurance business, which Warren Buffett is in.
You know what I wonder? I wonder if Warren Buffett will give him the money. I mean, think about. Okay, but just let me point this out. Warren Buffett has bailed out Goldman Sachs, I think GE, Bank of America. Now, he extorted incredible terms out of it. Remember that when he said he got out of Goldman Sachs, $15 a minute or something?
$28,000 a minute.
Yeah, it was like some insane. But he did make out like a bandit.
Well, they needed the money, and nobody would lend it to them.
Okay, the question is, do they go to Warren and say, give us some money here? And
talking Tesla.
I've heard it rumored and speculated about. I'm not saying it's going to happen. You don't think so. Why don't you think so?
Well, I thought you meant buy Tesla outright.
No.
I think that Warren Buffett, when he sees a company like when he did with Harley Davidson or Goldman Sachs, I believe Tiffany as well, he got incredible terms.
Well, why wouldn't he get incredible terms out of Elon?
Because those three companies have a tried and true and reliable a history of hitting targets.
Yeah, and Goldman Sachs did too, and GE was GE.
So I don't know if he looks at Tesla as reliable. It's still in its infancy.
And maybe he doesn't look at the management as reliable. And I think because one of the things that came out about this whole dance, it was fascinating. 5 hours before they announced they weren't going private, I was on your show. We were talking about how they had no plans to go private yet. We were casting doubt on it. Literally in 5 hours he came out not going private. And if you followed our reporting, We called it pretty straight down the middle of the road. You did pretty well here. We were talking about how the company didn't have an investment banker, that they were in the first inning. I remember the whole segment. That was 5 hours before they made it official. So I will say this. We got a pretty good nose for this news, covering it straight, fair, and balanced. But I will tell you this, Liz. The numbers are not adding up with this company. Listen, I can't stand the shorts on this. I mean, listen, I'm not talking about Jim Chanos, who's shorted. He's a mensch, a gentleman. Dave Einhorn, another guy I know, good guy. Dan Loeb, another short, excellent guy. I mean, you could see the crowd of crazies that are short this stock on Twitter. I'm not saying this because I want to say this, because I can't stand those idiots. But, because they want to destroy the company. They think Elon Musk is the worst thing, the devil incarnate. But the numbers, Liz, are just not adding up. You don't have to take a side to see that. His projection numbers don't come out. He needs cash, and he says he doesn't want to raise cash, even though every banker I talked to in the lead-up said that this privatization might even turn out to be a recapitalization. This is a troubled company, and they're going to have trouble in the next 3 or 4 months.
Well, let's just put it this way, though. When you talk about wishing anybody well,
yeah,
we want to be a leader in the next generation of auto
Absolutely.
technology. We don't want to cede this to China or South Korea or any other country. So,
but he might not be the right guy.
It is in the best interests of this country to see something like Tesla.
But here's the thing: there's going to be competition. There's going to be others doing it. Today there was somebody announced, some car maker, and the real question is: did he miss an opportunity not bringing in really good, old-style production automotive guys into that company that know how to produce stuff?
Joe Nocera, the famed writer, said Alan Mulally, formerly of Ford, could save Tesla.
I would have brought in Bob Nardelli.
Okay,
who's an operations guy.
We're going to get cut off here because it's a break coming up. Charlie, thank you very much.